full of holes. Most people are trying to pour more water in with a thimble while it's gushing out the bottom. Wealth begins with stopping leaks. Think of your financial life not as a mountain you're trying to climb, but as a bucket you're trying to fill. Every single one of you has a bucket. You have income flowing into it. That's the water coming from the top. Maybe it's a steady stream from your job. Maybe it's a few sporadic drips from a side project. And your goal, the dream of wealth, is to see that bucket fill up, to see the water level rise so high that it overflows, creating abundance, security, and freedom for you and your family. That's the picture. But here's the brutal, overlooked truth that keeps people financially stranded for decades. You cannot fill a bucket that's full of holes. No matter how hard you work to increase the flow from the top, asking for a raise, working a second job, trying to start a business, if that water is gushing out of multiple holes in the bottom, you will never get ahead. You'll be exhausted pouring water in with a thimble while it drains out through gaps you haven't even noticed. Most people's entire financial strategy is focused only on the inflow. If I just make more money, everything will be fixed. So they run faster on the hamster wheel. They add more side hustles. They burn themselves out chasing an extra few $100s a month. And they wonder why at the end of the year, they're no closer to their goals. It's because they're ignoring the outflow, the leaks, those silent, insidious, culturally approved purchases and habits that systematically sabotage their progress before it even has a chance to begin. The first and most critical step toward wealth is not a dramatic act of earning, it's a disciplined act of plugging. These leaks are deceptive because they're often small, habitual, and socially normalized. It's the daily premium coffee that becomes a 150 monthly subscription to caffeine. It's the unused gym membership, auto drafting from your account like a loyal thief. It's the subscription services piling up, streaming music, software apps, each one a tiny monthly drill hole in your bucket. It's the impulse buys at the checkout line, the treat yourself mentality applied to every minor stress, the eating out because you're too tired to cook, which is a symptom of being too financially drained to build margin in your life. It's the small luxury, the upgraded phone plan, the designer item on sale, the nicer bottle of wine that you justify because you had a hard week. These aren't just expenses, they are a constant draining tax on your future freedom. This is where the real work begins, and it's not glamorous. It requires sitting down with your bank statements, all of them, and conducting a forensic audit of your own life. You must look at every single outflow with ruthless objectivity and ask one question. Is this moving water toward my wealth, or is it a leak? This is not about living a life of miserable deprivation. This is about intentional allocation. It's about recognizing that every dollar that escapes through a leak is a soldier that deserted your army. It's a dollar that could have been deployed, that could have been working for you, compounding for you, buying you future time and options. When you start this process, you will experience what I call the finding. You will find money, real significant capital that you never knew you had. It was always there, but it was slipping silently through your fingers. By simply stopping the leaks, you create your first pool of true investment capital. This is the seed money. This is the capital that was previously being wasted on distractions and depreciating liabilities that can now be redirected into appreciating assets, into a skill course, into the first shares of an index fund, into the marketing budget for your own enterprise. You haven't earned a penny more yet, but you are instantly richer because you have ceased funding your own poverty. You have patched the bucket. Now, and only now, does the labor of increasing the inflow become exponentially powerful. Now, when you pour more water in, the level actually rises. That is the foundational, non-negotiable first law of wealth creation. Secure the vessel, then seek the source. Stop the leaks first. Everything else is just noise until you do. Think of the marketplace as a grand theater. On stage, under the bright lights, stand two distinct characters, each representing a choice you make every single day. The first is an asset. It stands there, silent, confident, and with a quiet, almost magnetic pull. You might not notice it at first because it doesn't shout. It appreciates. It grows in value. It generates income. It creates more of itself while you sleep. It is a piece of a thriving business, a skill you've mastered that the market craves, a property in a growing area, a portfolio of investments. The asset doesn't need applause. It is content with compound interest and silent multiplication. The second character is an appearance. It is loud. It is clad in logos and chrome. It sparkles and demands to be seen. It is the luxury car, the designer handbag, the latest gadget, the oversized house in the right neighborhood. It is a master of deception because it wears the costume of success. It whispers a seductive lie, own me, and you will be seen as wealthy. But here is the brutal, unvarnished truth this character does not appreciate. The moment you take possession, it begins a long, steady, inexorable decline. It depreciates. It is a consumable, a perishable good wrapped in a fantasy. When you spend your hard-earned capital, your life energy converted into currency, on an appearance, you are making the single most expensive trade in the world. You are trading your future financial freedom, a piece of your sovereignty, for the momentary, hollow glance of a stranger in traffic or a fleeting like on a screen. You are converting an asset, your money, into a liabilities, a thing that now costs you insurance, maintenance, and mental space. You are not investing, you are subsidizing your own poverty. You have been culturally programmed to do this. The entire engine of consumer marketing is designed to make you confuse the symbol for the substance. It sells you the feeling of arrival so you never actually embark on the journey to the real destination. Rich people, the ones who built their wealth, not just inherited the appearance of it, understand this distinction at a cellular level. They are not impressed appearances. They are intrigued by cash flow. They ask one question about an expenditure. Will this put money into my pocket consistently over time, or will it take money out? The luxury car, it takes money out not just once, but every month through payments, insurance, fuel, and the catastrophic drop in value the moment it leaves the lot. A used, reliable vehicle that gets you to the places where you build your empire, that is a tool, not a trophy. The oversized mortgage for the showpiece home. It's a chain, a massive monthly drain that forces you back to a job you might hate. A modest home you can pay off quickly, or a duplex where the tenant pays your mortgage. That is an engine. This is the fundamental shift in consciousness required. You must train your eye to see through the glitter. You must develop a visceral disgust for depreciation. When you consider a purchase, you must see its future. See the dust gathering on the gadget in a drawer. See the new model being released that makes yours obsolete. See the luxury bag in a thrift store in 5 years, sold for pennies on the dollar by someone who needed real cash. Now, see the alternative future. See the dividend payment hitting your account from the business you own a piece of. See the royalty check for the intellectual property you created. See the equity building in a solid investment. One future is a silent suck and drain. The other is a silent flowing spring. Stop buying costumes and start buying cash flows. Stop acquiring things that make you look rich and start building things that make you rich. Let others pay for the applause. You are building something that doesn't need it. Your wealth will not be measured by the shine of your possessions, but by the strength of your balance sheet and the peace in your silent, unshakable mind. That is the trade. Make it. This is where the path to wealth diverges completely from the well-trodden boulevard of common desire. There is a siren song in the marketplace, a whisper that appeals to the tired, the frustrated, the impatient. It sells a pill, a secret, a loophole. It's the 3-letter word that has bankrupted more dreams than any recession, EASY. It promises the reward without the resistance, the summit without the climb, the harvest without the season of planting and tending. And I am here to tell you with absolute clarity that when you reach for your wallet to buy easy, you are not purchasing a shortcut. You are announcing with your hard-earned capital a devastating declaration to the universe and to yourself. I am too lazy to do the work required to be wealthy. Let's break the illusion. That course that promises you a 7-figure online business in 30 days with no list, no product, and no experience. That's not an investment, it's a tax on your gullibility. The cryptocurrency scheme that guarantees 10x returns with zero risk, that's not a golden ticket, it's a financial fireworks display. Brief, spectacular, and leaving nothing but ashes behind. The obsession with the hack, the life-changing app, the own weird trick. This is the language of the consumer, not the creator. It is the mindset of someone who wants to be rescued, not of someone who is building a rescue vessel with their own two hands. Wealth is not a transaction. It is a transformation. It is the inevitable mathematical harvest of seeds you had the foresight and the fortitude to plant long ago. Those seeds have names skill, knowledge, resilience, value, relationships, reputation. There's no technological bypass for this process. You cannot download character. You cannot automate integrity. You cannot outsource the forging of your own mind in the fires of challenge and problem solving. The price of wealth is paid in a currency that no one can give you and no one can take from you. It is paid in focused hours, in rejected distractions, in endured failures that become your PhD in what not to do, in the lonely, unglamorous practice of a craft until you become a master. When you chase easy, you are doing two catastrophic things. First, you are wasting the most precious resource you have, not just your money, but your time and belief. You are spending weeks or months chasing a phantom, which is time you will never get back, time you could have spent acquiring one genuine, markable skill. Second, and more importantly, you are reinforcing a poverty identity. You are telling yourself, I am not capable of doing the real work, so I must buy a magic solution. This is self-sabotage at the deepest level. It erodes your confidence and keeps you in a perpetual state of being a customer for someone else's easy dream. The wealthy builder's mindset is antithetical to this. It looks at the same challenge and asks, what is the required price? Not the monetary price, but the price in study, in repetition, in rejection, in iteration. It understands that the value is not in the goal of being rich, but in the person you become on the journey to building something of substance. The strength you develop, the wisdom you earn, the value you learn to create for others, that is the real asset. The money is simply a byproduct, a confirmation slip from the universe that you delivered genuine value. So stop shopping for elevators. The elevator to real lasting wealth is out of order. It always has been, and it always will be. The staircase is open. It is made of steps called discipline, patience, and relentless execution. It is steep and it is empty of applause until you're near the top. But every single step is solid. Every step is yours. Every step strengthens you, and the view from each landing, built by your own effort, is a confidence that no easy scheme can ever provide. The path is hard because it is real. Choose the real. Reject the easy. Your future self, the truly wealthy one, will thank you for the profound dignity of having climbed. This response is AI generated for reference only. Let's talk about the most expensive currency you will ever spend, more costly than dollars, more decisive than your credit score. Let's talk about the currency of approval. You carry a wallet full of it, and you are spending it like it's limitless, trading it for trinkets that leave you bankrupt of your own future. Every time you open your mouth to say yes, when your bank account is screaming no, every time you pull out a credit card to keep up, to fit in, to avoid the awkward silence of being different, you are not just spending money. You are conducting a high-stakes auction, and what's on the block is your financial destiny. You are bidding it away dollar by dollar for the fleeting, fickle opinion of people whose own financial houses may be made of glass. This is the silent tax of social fear. It's the upgraded wedding gift so your cousins won't talk. It's the vacation you finance because your social media feed is a highlight reel of other people's debt. It's the rounds of drinks, the front row tickets, the designer label you can't afford, all purchased with a single desperate motivation, the fear of being seen as less than. Let's name this for what it is, a poverty decision. It is a decision made from a position of lack, a lack of confidence, a lack of inner conviction, a lack of a plan so compelling that other people's opinions become irrelevant background noise. When your financial choices are dictated by the fear of another person's raised eyebrow, you have voluntarily handed them the remote control to your life's trajectory. You are no longer the CEO of your future. You are a middle manager implementing the budget of social expectation. Wealth, genuine wealth that creates freedom, demands the exact opposite currency. It requires courage, not the loud, dramatic kind, but the quiet, steely courage to be misunderstood, the courage to drive the paid off car while others lease their status, the courage to live in the modest home and invest the difference while others are house poor in their castles, the courage to say, I'm not drinking that, I'm not going there, my money is allocated elsewhere. This courage feels like friction. It will create tension. People may whisper. Some may even distance themselves. And that is the most important sign you are on the right path, because you are no longer funding the echo chamber of your own stagnation. Understand this, the crowd is rarely heading toward wealth. The crowd is heading toward the appearance of wealth, which is a financial cul-de-sac. If you follow the crowd, you will arrive exactly where the crowd is going, to the land of monthly payments, leveraged lifestyles, and quiet desperation masked by loud consumption. To build something separate, something substantial, you must be willing to walk a different path. Often alone, you must develop an internal scorecard so robust, so clear, that the external applause or criticism simply doesn't register on your financial compass. Your note today is not a rejection of fun or friendship. It is a fierce, strategic yes to a future version of yourself. You are saying yes to options. Yes to the day when you can be truly generous from a place of overflow, not from a place of social obligation. Every time you choose your own plan over another person's opinion, you are not being rude, you are being an architect. You are laying another brick in the foundation of a life that cannot be shaken by market trends or peer pressure. So close the auction. Take your financial destiny off the block. People think what they will. Their opinion is not your business. Your business is the quiet, powerful work of building an empire of assets and peace of mind. Let them have their opinions. You are too busy building the evidence that will make those opinions utterly irrelevant. The road to wealth is paved with the stones of uncomfortable notes that build an unshakable yes for your future. Spend your currency on that. This response is AI generated for reference only. Let's have a conversation about the most sophisticated and seductive form of self-sabotage you will ever encounter. It's not a scheme or a scam in the traditional sense. It's a system, an entire architecture of delay dressed up as convenience. I'm talking about the moment you walk into a store or click a button online and you are presented with a choice: pay the full price now or make a series of smaller, manageable payments later. This is the fork in the road, and the path most traveled leads directly into a gilded cage. You must understand this when you finance a depreciating asset. You are not buying a product. You are not buying a car, a couch, or a television. You are buying a debt payment. You are purchasing a new line item on your monthly budget, a new master to whom you must report for duty. You have not gained an asset. You have acquired a liability with a payment plan. And in that moment, you cease to be a free agent building your own kingdom. You have just enlisted as a voluntary employee of the finance company. Think about the language of it. Only $89 a month. They never want you to think about the total. They want you to focus on the monthly bite because it feels small, manageable, like a minor subscription. But that $89 a month is not a subscription to a service. It is a toll for your past. It is money you must earn in the future to pay for a decision you made in the past. It is the financial equivalent of trying to run a race while dragging an anchor. Every dollar that flows out to service debt for a thing that is losing value is a dollar that is not flowing into an investment that could be gaining value. It is a double loss. You lose the dollar and you lose the compounded potential that dollar could have generated over 10, 20, 30 years. This system is designed to keep you in a state of perpetual present. It prevents you from building a future because it constantly consumes the capital of your tomorrows to pay for the consumption of your yesterdays. That new car smell, that's the scent of your future investment portfolio evaporating, the thrill of the unboxing. That's the feeling of your own financial sovereignty being packaged up and shipped away. You are trading the single most powerful force in the universe, time and the compound growth it allows, for the immediate gratification of possessing something that begins its decline the moment you possess it. The wealthy mind sees this transaction in reverse. It asks one non-negotiable question: Do I have the cash today to pay for this in full without touching my investment capital or emergency fund? If the answer is no, then the wealthy mind hears a different answer. I cannot afford it. Not, I can't afford it yet. The word yet implies a plan of saving a period of patience. That eliminates the yet. It says, I want it now, and I am willing to mortgage my future to have it. That is the language of a consumer, not a creator. The path to freedom is paved with the rigor of cash. When you operate on a cash basis, when you save, wait, and then pay in full, you accomplish several profound things. First, you introduce a mandatory period of deliberation that kills impulse. Second, you force the asset to prove its worth to you over time. Is this thing you desire worth 6 months of saving? A year. The process reveals its true value. And third, and most importantly, you keep your future income streams clean and clear. Your income becomes yours again. It is not pre-allocated to a dozen different masters. It is capital waiting for your command, ready to be deployed into assets that work for you, not liabilities you work for. Stop buying payments. Start buying freedom. Every monthly payment you avoid is a declaration of independence. It is a brick in the wall that separates you from the herd that is being gently, comfortably led to the slaughter of their own potential. Your goal is not to have the most impressive pile of finance stuff. Your goal is to own your life hour by hour, dollar by dollar. That ownership begins with one simple, radical act. If you can't pay cash, you can't afford it. Let that be the law of your financial life, and watch as the chains fall away and the path to real wealth finally comes into clear view. Now we must address the single most precious, non-renewable, and irrevocably limited resource you possess. It is not your money. Money can be lost and regained. It can be borrowed and repaid. This resource, however, flows in one direction only, and once a unit of it is spent, it is gone from your account forever. This is your time. More specifically, I want you to consider your prime time, those few golden hours of each day when your energy is highest, your focus is sharpest, and your mind is most capable of creating, solving, and building. This is your capital of creation, the raw material from which fortunes and legacies are forged. And there is perhaps no more expensive, more devastating purchase you can make than to trade this prime capital for passive consumption. You are, in essence, buying distraction with your destiny. Think about the transaction. The world offers you an endless, shimmering buffet of entertainment streaming services with infinite scroll, social media feeds engineered to hijack your dopamine system, video games with ever unfolding universes, and the numbing comfort of binge watching other people's fictional lives. This is not inherently evil, but it is a marketplace. And in this marketplace, you are the seller. You are offering up your prime time, the very hours you could use to build your own empire. And what are you receiving in return? A temporary feeling, a laugh, a moment of suspense, a mild sense of connection. You are trading gold for glitter. You are swapping the solid currency of potential for the fleeting vapor of amusement. While you are consuming, someone else is creating. While you are watching a show about entrepreneurs, someone is staying up an hour later to build their actual business. While you are scrolling through highlights of someone's perfect life, someone is in the quiet, unphotographed grind of mastering a valuable skill. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is not filled by money. It is filled by time, time applied with intention. When you surrender your prime hours to consumption, you are not resting, you are disarming, you are laying down the tools of your own construction and becoming a permanent spectator in the arena of your own life. Wealth is not an event. It is a process built in the quiet, uncelebrated margins of your day. It is the hour of study before the house wakes up. It is the 90 minutes of focused work after dinner while others are on the couch. It is the deliberate choice to listen to an educational podcast instead of music during your commute. It is the practice of guarding your mental real estate with the ferocity of a sovereign nation. This is not about living a joyless monastic existence. It is about the strategic allocation of your highest value asset. Entertainment has its place as a scheduled reward, as a low-cost way to recharge, but it must never be allowed to occupy the throne. It must never be given the keys to your prime time. Your attention is the most sought after commodity in the 21st century. Every app, every platform, every show is bidding for it. When you leave it unprotected, you are allowing the world to fragment your focus and auction off your future in 30-second intervals. The wealthy builder understands that their attention concentrated and sustained is the laser that cuts through obstacles. They know that an hour of creation is infinitely more valuable than a lifetime of consumption. So audit your time with the same ruthless precision you applied to your finances. Where are your prime hours going? Are they being invested or spent? Are they building your value or merely passing the time? Reclaim them. Schedule them. Protect them with a fury. Let your prime time be a sacred workshop where you are the craftsman, forging the skills, the products, the ideas, and the relationships that constitute true wealth. Stop buying distraction. Stop renting out your mind. The most valuable thing you will ever build is built in those hours. Do not sell them for pennies. Invest them and they will return to you a fortune. Let's land the plane with a principle that ties every single point together into an unbreakable cord of truth. You've been conditioned your entire life to believe that wealth is an act of acquisition, that it's about what you add, more income, more properties, more stocks, more clients, more stuff. This is the grand illusion, the hamster wheel disguised as a ladder. It keeps you in a state of perpetual chasing, of hustling for the next thing, convinced that the secret lies in the next thing you obtain. I'm here to tell you that this is backward. The foundational, non-negotiable secret of authentic wealth is not found in addition. It is forged in subtraction. The real power, the silent leverage, lies not in what you bring in, but in what you have the wisdom, the courage, and the discipline to strategically leave out. This is the master key. Wealth is built not merely by the assets you acquire, but by the distractions, the drains, and the delusions you omit. Look back at each of the other points. You stop buying appearances. You stop buying easy. You stop buying opinions. You stop buying debt payments. You stop buying distraction with your prime time. In every case, you are not doing something new. You are ceasing something old. You are pruning the dead branches so the tree can bear fruit. You are removing the clutter so the architecture of your fortune can become visible. This is the essence of what it means to be the architect of your own life. You must first clear the plot of land before you can pour the foundation. When you live a life of endless addition, you are like a ship constantly taking on water. You work harder to bail it out, but you never patch the holes. You're adding buckets by more income, but ignoring the leaks, the mindless spending, the time wasting habits, the emotional purchases. The frantic adding is just compensation for a vessel you've failed to secure. True security, and therefore true progress, begins with the act of sealing. It begins with the no. It begins with looking at the buffet of modern life with its constant offers, its seductive marketing, its peer pressure, and having the discernment to say, not for me. That does not serve the future I am building. This philosophy of strategic omission creates two profound forces. First, it creates space, mental space, financial space, and temporal space. You are no longer mentally cluttered by debt anxiety or social comparison. You are no longer financially stretched to zero every month. You are no longer temporally bankrupt with every hour spoken for by consumption. This space is not emptiness. It is potential energy. It is the blank canvas, the quiet morning, the capital in your account that is now unassigned and waiting for your command. Second, omission creates clarity. When you remove the trivial, the vital few become blindingly obvious. You can suddenly see the one skill you need to master, the one investment that makes sense, the one relationship you need to nurture. The signal is no longer drowned out by the noise you were voluntarily funding. So, shift your entire mindset. Stop asking, what can I get? And start asking, what can I let go of? What habit, what subscription, what fear, what unnecessary expense, what toxic relationship, what time-sucking activity can I omit today? Every act of omission is a direct deposit into your freedom fund. It is an act of creation through negation. You are not building your wealth by what you gather from the world. You are sculpting it by what you chisel away from yourself. The masterpiece was always there, hidden beneath the rubble of other people's expectations, cultural programming, and your own undisciplined desires, your wealth, your peace, your legacy, it is all already present in the form of the person you could be if you simply stopped being the person you are not. The path to abundance is paved with the stones of what